My guest today has created beautiful music for the world through her unique and inspiring compositions for films and albums, including the Moving Arts Season 3 album on Spotify. Lisbeth Scott is a singer and composer whose work has been seen on films including Avatar, Iron Man 2, Concussion, The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Spider Man, HBO's True Blood, and many, many more. She's also collaborated with John Williams, Danny Elfman, John Debney, Hans Zimmer, and James Horner, just to name a few. So, welcome, Elizabeth.
Hello.
It's such
Thank
a
you.
joy to be here with you. I love listening to your music and collaborating with you over the years. I loved working with Elizabeth on my feature film, Wings of Life for Disney Nature, and she composed the music for the oceans and the Machu Picchu episodes on our series called Moving Art. So, Elizabeth, welcome.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you, Lee. I'm so happy to be here.
well, what you do with our Moving Art series is so incredible because we string these images together, whether it's about oceans or flowers, and the music is such an important element of tying it all together
Mm,
because it has a constant through line that pulls you on it, takes you on a journey.
right,
It's kind of like a locomotive pulling a train down the track. It's
right.
beautiful that it has a linear progression to it.
Mm,
And when we jam together, Elizabeth, I so appreciate the fact that you create this continuity for the imagery. And I know the imagery probably triggers, these vision, the music in your head.
One of the beautiful things about writing music for visuals, specifically for yours, is to find and create themes that can come in and out of a growing orchestral or instrumental sound and try and find a way to take people on a journey musically that matches the journey that you're taking them on visually. And I absolutely love that challenge. If I find it so inspiring.
So I want to give our viewers a chance to connect with some of these great moments in your work. And you mentioned Machu Picchu, so I think we
Mm,
will probably want to show a clip of that. And I want to make a note that you play such a wide variety of world music and
mhm,
instruments, and you
mhm,
bring that. And in Machu Picchu, obviously, it's Peru, and
mhm.
it's beautiful to bring that flavor
Yeah.
into the score, and to feel the richness of these world influences.
Mhm.
So let's play the last view from your album and the moving art episode called Machu Picchu. Wow, that's so beautiful.
I think that's one of the beautiful things that we can do is give people an entirely unique experience. That
Yeah.
even if you go to Machu Picchu or even if you sit in my room while I'm composing, you will not have the same experience as what we just saw.
So
Yeah.
let's have the ability and listen to some beautiful music Elizabeth did for our oceans episode as we take a journey along the shores of Big Sur. So
That's great.
I'm sure you got beautiful quotes too, Lisbeth. Are there any that you'd like to share?
Sure, I've gotten so many. Here's one. Thank you for producing incredible music. I needed a healing sound in these times. You are giving me that. Please know you are helping people and moving some of us to tears of joy and happiness. Another, your music is just incredible. So happy to have discovered you. Such wonderful healing sounds. I heard your voice and was moved to tears. I get a lot of this. Thank you for blessing the universe with your spectacular voice.
Oh,
It's so amazing when we get these because I'm always shocked and stunned at the depth of the experience people have from our work. And it certainly is our intention, and it's so good to know that it's happening. And I got a wonderful one the other day, Louie, that I forgot to tell you. Someone from Ireland sent me an email saying that he and his wife had decided to name their newborn baby girl after me because they had heard my work in Narnia and were so moved by it. And I
oh,
just, I mean, that one made me cry. But
oh, I
yeah, it's
love.
just, it's such a wonderful,
Well, it's
wonderful
beautiful because I know for myself, and I think for you as well. I don't have like an intention
thing.
that it's a healing modality. We just want to create beautiful,
Yes.
art,
Yeah.
and it's amazing that people claim that it's a healing modality. I
Right.
love the fact that it just emanates, from the audience, and
Right.
all of these stories. I get about one every other day,
Yes.
literally,
Yep. Yep.
and it melts your heart.
We just happened upon moving art one day, and I was like, whoa, this is incredible. Like, I've never seen anything like it. Like, the cinematography was so beautiful. And then it became a thing where my son just like completely, like, kind of, it chilled him out. Like, it was very calming for him. And we found out there's more episodes, and so we just kind of just started binging it. But then one of his favorites was the oceans episode. He just wanted to see it on repeat and on repeat. And for us, we're used to seeing like movies, cartoons, whatever it is, like over and over and over again. Every single time I felt like we saw something new, and we got to feel like a different kind of piece every single time we saw it. And so it became part of our daily life, like just like how he wants to drive every day. Like at a certain time he wants to take a drive and cruise to hear his own songs on his playlist. That became something that was really, really beneficial for us.
For me, moving art and those type of nature docs, I love the ones that educate you and teach you through information, but the ones that can educate you and teach you about the self and the world around you and how we're all connected without saying a word is my absolute favorite. And I truly believe that's what moving art does. Like when I put it in front of Odin, I know this is education. This is, you're learning about your higher self.
I think the thing that I'm most grateful for is just being able to exist with my family. I grew up without knowing what family was. I grew up homeless. And I think my gratitude is I get to fall asleep and wake up every day and feel Odin's breath and feel the warmth of our family, like the energy of our family as we do whatever it is.
Our unit, being able to navigate the world around us with him and with Odin by my side, like always changing and shifting and helping me grow. It's just the best thing because, like, even when I've had maybe like an absolutely terrible day, that nighttime routine where we all come together, it's almost like everything just kind of, and it doesn't matter because like here we are, we're together, we're safe. Moving art definitely was sort of a staple for my mental health, so thank you for that.
My guests today are Howard and Michele Hall, two of the greatest underwater cinematographers and filmmakers, and dear friends of mine. Howard Hall Productions specializes in marine wildlife natural history motion pictures. During the last 40 years, their company has produced numerous exhibit films, broadcast television documentaries, and IMAX theatrical features. Their most recent film, Secrets of the Sea, is now opening in numerous IMAX theaters in the United States and many other theaters around the world. Welcome, Howard and Michele. It's great to see you guys.
Great to see you, Louie.
You know, we've known each other for a long time as fellow film eco-warriors, and we collaborated on the moving art series where you created the underwater and the whale and dolphins episode. And then we also worked together on the Tahiti episode, you filming underwater and me filming topside. I think I had the easier job, you know, drinking those margaritas on the beach while you were like struggling underwater. But it was a good collaboration.
If you can call that a job, yeah.
I know it's a tough job. Someone's got to do it, right?
Exactly. Thank you for including us in that. It was fabulous.
So, Howard, I think both of us, you know, as filmmakers, you know, we've always really wanted to explore, I think, high resolution, right? And like, you know, we migrated in the evolution of filmmaking, right, from 16 millimeter to 35 and IMAX, and et cetera. And I'm wondering if the desire for high resolution, is it to turn people on to the beauty of nature and the detail and the wonder, making the invisible visible? And also, is it perhaps to blow people away in the IMAX theater so that they fall in love with nature and shift their behavior in order to protect it?
I think it's really all of those things. As you know, the world is changing and natural systems are in decline. We're losing species all the time. Habitats are disappearing. And so I feel an obligation to capture these environments and the animals that live in them in the highest resolution possible, because we want people to know what it was like. And for years, I shot in 16 millimeter. I have hundreds of hours of 16 millimeter film of amazing animals. I made a number of films using that footage. But now 16 millimeter is not good enough to run on even high definition television, let alone 4K. And so all that footage is basically obsolete, which is a tragedy in many ways. People are not going to watch it. And if we were to make films with it, they would be substandard visually. So I'm just trying to stay ahead of that as much as possible. As soon as HD became available, I moved into HD and started shooting with that. When 4K became available, I started shooting in 4K, and now I'm shooting in 8K. And who knows what resolutions are going to be acceptable in the future. But I just want I want the images I capture to be good for as long as possible, because I know things are going to continue to change. I feel it's my calling to capture the wild environment, especially underwater, and depict it as it is in the most beautiful way possible. So it's kind of interesting because high resolution doesn't work for everything. If you're making a feature film or a television film, if you shoot it in too high a resolution, then people can see that the sets are artificial and that there's makeup on the actors and that there's just too much detail, and they see the flaws in the creation of a fictional work. With natural history, that's not the case. You want to show them as much as possible. There's nothing you're trying to hide. You're capturing the environment in the highest quality possible to show them what it is like. And it's still not as good as reality, but I think it's important to capture it in the highest quality possible.
Yeah, I share that point of view as well, because for me, I think that those rhythms and patterns and the beauty of nature is like a secret language that motivates us to do the right thing. You know, if we fall in love with something, you'll protect it. It's also, in many cases, I think, Howard, it's almost better than reality, you know, because if you're showing like a macro, micro shot of something, your eyes can't necessarily focus that close up. If it's a time lapse or slow motion, you can't see it in that way either. And if that can open people's heart, if it can broaden your perspective, to realize that you're not this arrogant Homo sapien species, that you're the center of the universe, and other critters are as valuable as you are, right? Because we're connected to all of it. You mentioned serotonin before. I'm thinking about the worms. Maybe that's why gardeners love to garden. Maybe they're picking up some of the serotonin that's coming out of the soil with all the worms and stuff. But I also get that really warm feeling when I watch your work, because I think that in addition to capturing behavior, natural behavior, which tells a great story and it really drives the narrative, it's also really spiritual for me to be able to, a beautiful shot you have of that stingray swimming upside down, and the elegance of that, the beauty of that, the mystery of it, almost the otherworldly aspect of it.
And so one of the things, if I can just interrupt for a
Yeah.
second, Louie, one of the things to sort of contradict what I was saying a moment ago is that by having the image capture and looking at it later, you're able to relive that moment. And one of my favorite images, still images that I took and looking at video that Howard captured, was when we were on location for you in Tahiti. So we're diving with the humpback whales, and Howard is filming this humpback whale, and I was taking still photos, not using the flash so that I didn't flash his frame. And I have this fabulous still image of Howard with a humpback whale, and there's a sort of a vortex from the surface coming down as the whale was descending a bit. And then when we looked at his video that he'd captured, there it was. So it's just this
The vortex? You mean the vortex was there?
yes. So
Yeah.
I had taken a still image of him with the whale as he was filming it. And it's just one of the not sure what the word is, juxtaposes. That's probably not the right word.
Juxtaposition?
Juxtaposition, thank you, of him filming and me capturing the image of him. And I have you to thank for that, and being in Tahiti working on that moving art film
Yeah.
for you.
And most divers will go a lifetime and never see that actually happen.
Right.
But what you do see when you're underwater, everywhere you look, is you see cooperation between species.
Yeah.
You see symbiotic behaviors. And that's the soul of the ocean.
Yeah.
It's the cooperation between animals working together to make their ecosystem work. And it's not just mindless instinct. There's more to it than that. A lot of the behaviors animals do, they do because they want to do it. Cleaning behavior is a good example, where you see fish plucking parasites and bits of algae off of other fish. It's extremely common. You see it almost every time you go diving. And it's not necessary. I mean, those biologists have proven that these animals can survive without being cleaned. So they do it because they like it. Think about that. The fish do it because they like it.
Yeah.
And so
I love it.
that's what we've tried to show, that the ocean is a much calmer, gentler place than people like me have been depicting it for the last 50 years.
Right. Thank you both for this incredible conversation. I think people are going to love learning about, the pioneering, adventurous, journeys you do with underwater filmmaking, but also the fact that there's a deeper conscious intention and outcome that comes from it, which is really turning people on to beauty and to protect the planet, to love each other, to be compassionate, all those good things. And the fact that you do it, the fact that it happens unknowingly is another thing that I'm grateful for. You don't know how people are going to be touched. Like you said, someone said, well, it helps my kid go to sleep. That was like not a direct intention, but there's all these outcomes that occur that are beautiful reminders that, the energy we put out helps people, which is really great.
Moving art came to me years and years and years ago. I'm a single mom. I was recently divorced at the time, working full time. I was living in Washington State at the time, and I just had a lot going on. And moving art is therapeutic to me. When I watch it, it just fires something in me, that love for nature.
it gave me faith. You changed my life with it. I'm really grateful.
I'm a PA in a psychiatric clinic, and I got my first job after graduating in Minnesota at a ketamine clinic that basically just did ketamine therapy. I first saw moving art there because they would put it on their big screen TVs for all of the patients during their ketamine therapy, and I thought it was absolutely amazing.
Just by watching moving art, you can see what I feel like is the heart of Mother Nature.
When I come from gratitude and where I came from to where I am today, and I look at my 23-year-old son, and I too was a single mom, but when I got into recovery and I took off on a journey with that kid, and I took him everywhere, and I see where he is today, and he too, when he comes up to visit me, moving art was always on my screen for dinner parties. It's moving art.
All those feelings of loneliness and sadness, it kind of just diminishes. I could just sit and kind of listen to it. I mean, I have it on when I'm at work. I work from home, so it's playing in the background. I play it before bed. My kids watch it. They're like, oh, mom's watching moving art again. There it is. But I see my kids sitting there, getting mesmerized by it, watching it. They're sitting there, and they're just like, and I'm like, hey, and they're like, oh, sorry. And it's like, I can see that they are also getting that therapy.
There's nothing like it. Like, I've seen a lot of nature videos, and I've tried to find replacements since you went off of Netflix, and there's nothing that's even close to being like it. I've never seen anything like it before.
You get to see what Louie's doing with moving art. This is just the next chapter, Louie, to go. Sorry, Netflix, you're lost. But for you to get out there and do the Louie Channel.
Moving art and the other things you make are way more than just TV and entertainment. I think they absolutely 100% are a healing modality.
So it is my tremendous honor, and I'm so humbled to welcome Lindsay, who's a good friend and creative collaborator. I am so moved by what you do, Lindsay, in so many different arenas. I think you're a true Renaissance artist because you create music, you play music, you dance, and you create the most visually amazing music videos.
Well, thanks for having me, and what a stellar intro. I'm gonna blush. Thank you so much.
Well, when we met, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, whatever it was, I mean, you were sort of like earlier on in your career. I mean, right
Absolutely.
now, I mean, I think Crystallize has 242 million views on YouTube, and you've just mushroomed.
I like it, staying on brand.
Exactly.
That's quite a compliment. Well, yeah, I can't believe it was at least 5 years ago when we met, and it's been really cool to see how we've been able to work together in multiple ways. Like, for those of you who don't know anything about me, like, I was honored that my music is in one of Louie's YouTube videos and in the moving art piece.
Yeah, the Big Sur episode.
Yes, and then also I've used some of Louie's amazing visuals on my tours to go up on the screens to like help people like, get in the zone. Anyway, so I feel so honored that I've been able to collaborate with you in these multiple ways.
Well, your music, I think, creates this sort of ethereal, soulful experience combined with my nature imagery. And I think that what makes it so special is I think it allows people to go on a personal journey. And I think it gives listeners perhaps a portal to listen to their own inner voice. What do you think about that? Is that true?
Yeah, I think I've always loved instrumental music, and I enjoy being an instrumental artist because I think this also ties into the way that you portray your art is there's no words and there doesn't have to be, and I think sometimes there's some things that like language can't convey, like
Mhm.
truly, like no matter how eloquent we say certain things, like um for example, like loss or grief, like there are no words to express those feelings or to comfort someone. But I think music or like nature or capturing things without words sometimes allow the people to feel what words can't express. And, and that's why I think our art pairs so well together.
I tell you what, let's give people a little brief immersion into the world of your music and a deep dive into the world of flowers. This is an excerpt from the Big Sur video. And so let's play it. So I'm curious, Lindsay, like where does your passion come from? Because I read that as a child, your parents couldn't afford to give you like, dance lessons or half lessons for the violin. And despite all of that, you persisted and succeeded. Where does that passion come from?
I think that from a really early age, my parents just exposed us to like art. My parents loved classical music and they'd play it in our home. And I think really I get it from not only just being exposed to it by my parents, but seeing the passion they had for art. Like my mom was so creative and she could sew all these things, and she taught me to sew when I was a kid. And it and to this day, I'm still like piecing together costumes and, using those sewing skills. My dad would tell me stories when I was a little girl that he had written, and he would, read his like scripts to me and my sisters, as bedtime stories. And so I think just seeing my parents' creativity and their passion and, and especially I just I got a love for storytelling from my dad. And I think that as an artist, that's actually my greatest gift is, you know, I love to storytell, and I do it through a violin, but it's like, then I turn it into like a music video that has a narrative, or, you know, on a tour, there's a narrative arc of like emotions that I'm hoping people will feel, or a message to take away. And so I really think it all for me comes down to like just creativity and storytelling.
Mm-hmm. Well, your new song, Lose You Now, I think certainly is a wonderful example of that. It deals with the themes of loss and grief, but also I think can have a healing effect on the listener. And you know, you just mentioned how your dad, you know, was an inspiration for you, but I know that recently you had to overcome the grief of losing your dad, and also maybe your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me like how that inspired this song, or how you were able to channel that into an expression of creativity?
Yeah. After losing, you know, my best friend and then my dad, like within the same year, I used art definitely as a therapeutic tool. My entire album, Brave Enough, was all about being brave enough to feel after loss. And, you know, and so all those songs were inspired by the emotions of grief. And then after like kind of pouring all of this like grief into music, I wrote a song called Guardian that was about kind of how my grief had transformed into connection. And I really do believe so strongly, and more so now than ever, that guardian angels are real. Like I've always believed in them, but now that I have two people I love so much on that other side, it's become very like tangible to me. And I know my angels and my guardians are around me, like helping me. And that if I pray for help, they will come. And it gives me a lot of strength when I'm scared or lonely or nervous or like don't know what to do. I like pray to my guardians for help. And so it was really cool because I couldn't figure out like I said, I'm not the best with words. And so I tried to write lyrics to the song and I just couldn't. So I made it an instrumental. And then the artist that is singing on it, his name is Mako. He actually took the instrumental Guardian and wrote lyrics to it, and we combined the two songs. And I cried the first time I heard it because he's a good friend of mine and I'd expressed to him these beliefs and these feelings. And so he took what I said and wrote the words that I couldn't express. And I don't know, it's so perfectly the way I feel. And I'm grateful that he was able to say what I couldn't. And so anyways, I love the sentiment. I love this song so much.
Oh, well, I think after hearing that, we got to watch the video because it is so beautiful. What I love about the work that you do, Lindsay, is like, you know, you create the music, but I know you have a signature to all of your videos where you're very actively involved, I think, in the production or the design or the concept or the vision of it. They're all mind-blowing. And as a filmmaker, I just like bow down to the creativity and the unique, you know, creative production approach you take to everything you do. So it is with total joy that let's take a look at the video.
Yay.
I could remember every second we had. I know I tried to count them all one by one. But you don't get them back, you don't get them back. Take every memory we've ever had. Oh, I wanna live them all one by one. And I swear that I'm not gonna lose you now. I'll keep you in my life somehow. I could never lose you now. And even though we're not so close here, maybe you could pick me up.
Incredible. And,
Thank you.
well, you can certainly feel the energy, and I think that there. I mean, again, there are studies that say that music can lower cortisol in the body, reduce heart rate, blood pressure, stress levels, and we get so many comments from our audience that nature imagery calms them and can help people that are suffering from anxiety, depression, cancer, even an end of life diagnosis. I'd like to show maybe another little short clip from the Big Sur video that's got a little more of a mellow vibe to it. And let's talk about it afterwards, how it can be a cathartic experience for people. Wow. I don't want to use an overused word like spiritual, but I really feel your music is so spiritual or transformational, at least that touched like the deepest part of my soul.
Oh, thank you.
And we have gotten so many comments saying that, it helped people that are, struggling on some level. And so anyways, I know that you also have a nonprofit where you're reaching out to people and doing the same thing, really, with your attitude about gratitude. Actually, if you believe in gratitude, the only attitude about gratitude is that the only attitude about gratitude is that if every experience is a gift, then the only attitude is gratitude. I finally got it right.
Love it. No, that's great.
Yeah, it's true. So with that note of hope, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, Lindsay, for inspiring me and millions. I mean, millions. How about billions of people? No, really, you are remarkable. And I love the fact that whatever you tackle, you're a perfectionist, as am I. So I can really admire the pitfalls and the blessings of that, and that you're able to combine dance, music, art, cinematography into your art form. So you are really, really special, and more than that, a real beautiful soul. So
well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. It was such a delightful conversation to just talk about things that are really meaningful. So Thank you.
I've been watching moving art almost every day since 2017 at least. And since then, it's just inspired me to look at the world differently.
Moving art, it's a lot of things. It's a meditation, it's an escape. It's just something that you can throw on no matter what you're feeling, and you can be put into a safe, peaceful place.
I first started watching moving art in 2020 after the birth of my last son. When you're breastfeeding and have an infant, you're up all hours and you're looking for something that's calm or peaceful, or trying to lull, and that's where I initially found it. And I felt like I bonded with my son over it.
There's no words in moving art, but it speaks this universal language.
It's one of those staples that if I have company come over, I throw that on, and it's perfect for the background or it's perfect for the foreground, whether we're all focusing on it or it's just playing in the background. Everyone's like, what is this? What is this? And they go home and get to watch it too, and it just keeps spreading that way.
My job is a very high stress job, and so what I do, I'm constantly under a lot of pressure, and so even when I'm working from home, I have it up in the background and something's going on at work, your blood pressure is starting to go up, and I can look up and see this beautiful scenery or have this relaxing tone in the background, and it just kind of like brings me back, to that center or grounded feeling that that we all are looking for, and it just reminds you to slow down.
I mean, I turn it on when I'm writing music and I'm just playing and getting inspiration. The music in the show is phenomenal too, and that in itself is big inspiration to me.
You start seeking that vibration and that feeling. You're like, I can, with the click of a button, I can get back to that peaceful, or I can travel to that exotic place.
Even in the title, moving art, once you step out the door, you start to notice the details of everything, and every plant outside is this work of art. It's the art of noticing and noticing the world around you, and that creates the soil for gratitude.
I'm just really grateful for, like Ben said, having all of your senses, to be able to experience the world fully, being able to walk outside and smell those flowers and hear those bird songs. It became a staple in our home. It wasn't just, what show are we going to watch? It's like, let's put on moving art. Let's go here. Let's do this.
I found moving art when I was in grief. When you're in grief, most everything you find on TV just seems meaningless. I don't know, it just seems you can't get invested in it, and nothing had any meaning to me. And I found moving art, and it kind of showed me hope. I don't know, it kind of showed me that the world is just gonna move on, and death is just another part of the big dance, and that's okay, and it's beautiful, and the world is this constant thing that's in motion, and you just have to go along with it, and it's a good thing.
My guest today has created beautiful music for the world to enjoy. Today, I'm proud to welcome Cosmo Sheldrake. Cosmo is a London-based multi-instrumentalist musician, composer, and producer. So we worked together on my moving art series. You scored the Galapagos episode. Tell me, what was that process like, and how maybe the imagery inspired your composition?
Well, it was really fun actually. It was some just extraordinary footage. Trying to treat the whole process almost like making a ballet or something, and working with the animal basically as dancers really. And so I saturated myself in lots of ballet music. The flamingos, there's a great scene of the flamingos doing those amazing dances, and I'd watch them moving around, and I'd just try and accompany them essentially in their movements as if it was choreographed in some form of dance. And so I just try as much as possible. I tried to be inspired from the movements or the feeling, or the giant tortoise kind of plodding along. Just really kind of thought about it like a ballet.
Let's talk a little bit about music for healing. I know you composed the music for a series of Samuel Beckett plays at the Young Vic for Relax and Dream, a project that gave soothing music and nature videos to kids in hospital and hospice. Can you talk about the importance of music and natural imagery for people, especially children, in the hospital as part of a healing process?
Well, it was a great project, basically doing exactly that. Just realizing there were, all these kids' hospitals and hospices where a lot of the people in these wards, they're highly sterile environments, sealed windows, as most hospital spaces are, and for kids that have these, they're in there for sometimes years, if not forever, or it's just been demonstrated time and time again that just exposure to sort of natural imagery and recordings of even just listening to birdsong is just hugely beneficial for mental health.
Yeah, I see that happening, more and more. I mean, actually, on our moving arts series, which, you did the episode with Galapagos, I've had comments from parents saying that they had a major breakthrough with children with autism, and teenagers who were suicidal said that it saved their life. And many comments with people suffering from anxiety, depression, about to go into surgery or out of surgery, all the way to end of life anxiety. So, what's your next big dream?
That's a good question. I mean, at the moment, I'm trying to develop a. One of the things I'm really interested in is making music. Essentially, we hear the world in a polyphonic way. When through listening to field recording and listening to just the natural world, there's so many voices coming all at once from so many different places. So I've been trying to think of how to make music that kind of reflects that more than, not just for a stereo setup. Trying to make music that feels or could immerse us more in the world in the way that we actually hear.
I'm really grateful for sharing your thoughts and your music, the extraordinary soundscapes that you're doing, and we look forward to more collaborations together, as well as spreading your music throughout the world. It's important more than ever that you're able to, I think, capture these magic moments, magic sounds, and to be able to share them with people, which is really, really extraordinary.
Yeah, and particularly when so many of them are increasingly endangered. So that's the thing that's sort of, rarer and rarer.
Well, this is fun. I get to hang out here with Katie and Dexter. Can you tell me how moving art impacted or even, shaped your life?
Yeah, I think my husband found it on Netflix when Dexter was probably, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks old. And there was just a lot of, tired trying to get through the day kind of moments. And we found that, and it was nice because it was relaxing and it didn't feel like we were just shoving cartoons in front of a baby. And as he got older, we found that it was really calming for him. So we would play, I know the ocean one and the waterfalls is what ended up being the big favorite. It's still a favorite. There were plenty of times as he got older where we were just trying to get him to go to sleep, and we'd say, just put waterfalls on, just put the waterfalls on. And it was just instantly calming for him. Goodness, you good? Okay. And he still likes it. And honestly, I think specifically that episode really shaped a lot of what he's still interested in. We go on hikes all the time, and we're always looking for new hikes that lead to waterfalls. And it's just kind of become a thing. So,
hey, Dexter, tell me, why do you like waterfalls more than any of the other shows?
The thing that's gravity pulls everything down.
Because gravity
That's
pulls it
true.
down. Yeah.
Right. Gravity does pull everything down. What do you like about waterfalls?
The thing that they're noisy and they go down and I don't know.
They're noisy. Yeah.
Does it make you want to go see a real waterfall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen real waterfalls?
When I was a baby, I love waterfalls.
You love, I know. Where do we go when we go on our hike? What do we go to? The one that's by our house. We go to the waterfall? Yeah. What do we drive by every time we drive through the canyon?
Waterfalls.
Yeah.
Did you know that waterfalls are real?
Yes, I
I
did
think
know
he's seen
that.
a lot of waterfalls.
But do you like to go to a waterfall and share it with all your friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah.
And outside of, Dexter loving the waterfalls, is there anything else about moving art that, had an impact on your life?
Honestly, I mean, I think one of my favorite parts about it is we watch a lot of documentaries, we like a lot of things, just that show nature, but sometimes it can either get a little too technical with the commentary that's with it, or it can get, I hate to say, too real, but sometimes I don't want to watch a gazelle being taken down or something, I just want the beauty of it. And I think that's why we have enjoyed it so much, is that we get to watch the beauty of nature and just the way things move, and just it feels like you're experiencing it without being inundated with the kind of nitty gritty or the stuff that you maybe don't, it's not what I want to hear. I just want to relax, so I think that's really our favorite part of it. We have been watching it for 4.5 years. So, and it never gets old. I think that's what's funny too, is like, it's just always beautiful. So it doesn't matter if you've seen it a million times, it's still beautiful every single time. And I mean, I think like the big, test is if you can keep a toddler's attention. He'll sit there and watch an entire episode of flowers or waterfalls, but anything else, he loses interest real quick. So
Right.
yeah, I think it's somewhere in our lizard brains. We just want to see the nature, and it's what we want.
Thank you so much for sharing, and so happy that it, put a little bit of joy and a little bit of fresh air in your life,
Absolutely. No, thank you. Keep them coming. We enjoy it.
And action, butterfly, ooh, almost, yes.
Nature is our greatest spiritual teacher.
They have incredible capacity to make things change very, very quickly. So if we can work with them, if we get it, as humans get it, we can change this thing really fast. So I am super hopeful.
To be alive in itself is just such a great gift.
And when you explore, you get more imagination than you already had.
What if beauty, to extend your thought, is that which makes us come alive?
I used art definitely as a therapeutic tool.
And talk about wonder and awe. I mean, it's amazing that nature can do this.
Inspiration, creativity, all these things were on your mind every day.
Like our body is constantly receiving the data from web of life.
It's not so much a getting rid of, it's this integration. It's just like, we bring it in, we transmute it, we become more whole.
Rest, recover, regenerate. I just got chills when I said that. God, I could talk to you all day, Louie.
You move from good God, it's morning, to good morning, God. It's a change.
I see people waking up to the importance of things like biodiversity.
I want to fall in love at 85 and dance to hip hop from 95.
Everywhere you look, as you see cooperation between species, you see symbiotic behaviors, and that's the soul of the ocean.
What a pleasure. Thank you.